Welcome to Meditating with John Vervaeke. We do this every weekday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, with Mondays alternating between a new lesson, Dharma Day, and a review of the entire ecology of practices called Upaya Day. A couple of announcements about this. Next Monday, which I believe is August the 3rd, is a holiday in Canada, so we won't be meeting. What's going to happen to the scheduled Dharma Day is it will move to the following Monday. So we will start the wisdom of Hypatia and the Western wisdom cultivation tradition on August the 10th, I believe it is. That's the following Monday. But one thing I will do next week is next Wednesday, I will add in the arms to the Tai Chi walking to make it more full-bodied, and then you will actually be doing what are called brush knees. So we will do that next Wednesday. Okay, I think that's it in terms of timing issues. I would encourage people to meet on the Discord server on Monday in order to continue their meditation practice. If you're joining us for the first time, you're most welcome. I recommend going to the description for this video where you'll find links to previous lessons and sits. Do lesson 1 immediately. Keep meeting with us. Try to do 1 or 2 lessons a week, and eventually you will catch up to us. And that way you'll have the benefit of the Sangha right away. I would ask you all to please help me to help as many people as possible by liking this stream to increase its visibility in the YouTube algorithm. At the end of every session, we have a Q&A. Please limit your questions at that time, please limit your questions to anything from this entire ecology of practice. For more general questions, and some of the questions that you guys bring up in the chat get slotted over into the general Q&A, there is a general Q&A live streamed on YouTube every 3rd Friday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So I think that's it. I think we're all caught up. I hope everybody is, what would be a very helpful, I hope everybody is finding the path that we're on together enriching and edifying, not necessarily easy, but challenging in a way that is nevertheless educational, that is drawing something out from them and for them. So let's get into position. Let's set your phones on Do Not Disturb. We will, as always, now begin with chanting. We will go into a silent sit, and then we will practice coming out of the sit, because how you come out of the sit is as important as what's happening in the sit, by perhaps reciting the 5 promises silently to yourself. If you're new, just take a general attitude of about when you're coming out of the practice to try and slowly integrate what you've cultivated in your practice with your everyday consciousness and cognition, your sense of your character. Communitas is your sense of how you participate in groups, especially perhaps in the Sangha. And just set your intention to try and lead a more mindful and present life. Okay, we will begin when I say begin. Begin. One. Om. One. Om. One. Begin your silent sit. slowly come out of your practice, trying as best you can to integrate what you cultivated in your practice with your everyday consciousness, cognition, character, communitas, perhaps by reciting the 5 promises to yourself. All right, so we'll take some questions. Hopefully there are some questions. I'm just waiting for them to come up on the screen. Please be patient, everyone. We're just trying to get some. Here we go. Here's a question from Manuel Post. I've been gradually getting back my ability to visualize things, at least passively. I'm a little bit worried because I'm unfamiliar with that experience, it will overwhelm me. So, Manuel, I'm trying to figure out what the issue is here. You lost your ability to visualize things? You mean in mental imagery? Or do you mean in some sort of sense of anticipation of the future? And you're unfamiliar with that experience, it will overwhelm me. Like it's coming back. You're talking about something like a hypnagogic energy or something like an active imagination. Manuel, if you're watching, it would help me if you. There's various things you could be meaning there, and I'm not clear, and there's too many options to try and all answer them, and I think it would get confusing. If you could please re-ask your question on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, and maybe break it down in a series of related questions, because I have a sense that something important is happening here, and we do need to talk more about the imagination within this whole process. The imagination will figure much more prominently in the Western wisdom practice and visualization techniques and practices. But I'm not quite sure how to answer you, Manuel. So if you could please give me more specific, maybe 2 or 3 questions that more specifically explicate what you're trying to ask me, I'd like to give you my best possible answer. Glenn Barnett, do you have any insights to the idea of gospel patrons and supporting the artists? I'm not sure about that. I need to talk to Amar and to Jason because I'm largely ignorant of what a gospel patron is and how we might make that work or how we might support some of the artists in the Sangha in a fair and appropriate manner. I don't know, Glenn. That's again, sorry, seems like all I'm doing right now is postponing. I need to have a more in-depth discussion with Amar about all of this. Any thoughts on meditating with Japanese music? This is also from Glenn. So Glenn, it's a good idea. There's a sort of a context where you might. This is very similar to what I say about the use of psychedelics or cannabis. You might set up a particular ritual context, perhaps maybe once a week, where you're listening to music while doing mindfulness, etc. But you don't want to do it in general, because if you're listening to music while you're meditating, or this also goes for listening to guided meditation, you will encode that. It's called encoding specificity. What that means is your brain stores not only what you're trying to do, but all of the implicit context around it. And you will teach your brain that mindfulness always comes with Japanese music, and then it will be hard to transfer to your daily life. This is a clear instance of the principle of where we can do things to make the practice more intense in the sit, but it actually undermines the general project of affording very adaptive transfer to as much of our life as possible. And so this is an indication of how we can be turning our sit into something more of a vacation and not enough of an education. Mark asks, is it helpful to speak the 5 promises out loud? Yes, it is. I just do them silently because I don't want to be imposing on other people. But when you're by yourself, saying the 5 promises out loud is very conducive to getting that intent more deeply permeating through your consciousness and cognition. And also, it becomes something that this is a general principle we're striving towards. And we'll talk about this a lot, especially when we get sort of to the Neoplatonic part of the wisdom of Hypatia. This is the idea of invocation. There's some things we just instantiate. What that means, that's a philosophical term, sorry. What that means is there are properties and processes we actually embody. Like, for example, unquestionably, I embody digestion, but I'm also embodying, the unfolding of being in space and time. So the number of things, aspects of reality that we embody, not just think about, is actually quite significant. This is an idea about, it's a way to bring back the ancient idea of sort of microcosm within reflects important aspects of the microcosm without. So we instantiate a whole bunch of properties, but we also represent a lot of properties, especially with language. And what we want to do is we want to sort of almost like stereoscopic vision. We want to move beyond representing and just unconsciously instantiating into what we're invoking. We're invoking a process. So when you speak aloud, you're not just representing your intent, you're also instantiating it. It's like when you say, I promise, you're not just representing your promise, you're actually making a promise. You're both representing and instantiating. And then you're reaching beyond that, you're trying to invoke aspirationally, right, the very phenomena that you are speaking. And I know some of you are saying this sounds creepily like magic, and we don't want to get involved with magic, but notice how when, again, you're making a promise, you're not only representing something, you're actually instantiating it, and you're aspiring, you're committing yourself to it into the future. So speaking aloud is a powerful way to turn the promises into invocations, and invocation is important. There, another question from Warad. Jonas, good to see you, Warad. Again, when I'm deep into the process, I can't resist noticing the darkness behind my eyelids, and being aware of that enhances my meditative experience. I wonder if you can relate to that and whether it's beneficial to do that. It depends what you mean by enhancing your meditative experience. If it gets you into sort of a depth, a depth of awareness of your own mind. This is, again, not to keep postponing, this is the issue again about what is the role of the imagination in all of this, but what's the role of the imagination specifically in here? What's the role of perception, right? And so if the perception and the imaginative engagement with that inner darkness is something you look through. If it's like a lens that you look through in order to facilitate coming into a deeper awareness, for example, of the space between your thoughts or the depths of the psyche in Vipassana, then use it. If it becomes something that you're looking at, then let it go. And when you're looking through it, you want to eventually make this less and less focal and explicit so that it becomes more and more about what you're focusing on through the image rather than focusing on the image itself. This is part of the principle of inner coaching. You want to get to the point where it stops being like a method and it starts to become a manner of your consciousness and cognition. Admissive, which I believe is Ben. Welcome, Ben. Observation. Thank you, Ben. A constant reminder that it's really important to share observation and comments. It helps all of us. Observation. My breath seems to be getting increasingly subtle as my concentration deepens. That's a very widely reported and normal part of the practice. And it seems at the same time that allowing my breath to become more subtle deepens my concentration. Exactly. So what's probably happening here, because remember one of the things we're trying to co-activate, and remember that we're going to keep coming back to that idea too, we're trying to co-activate both the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. So we want sort of a high degree of activity in one sense, but we're also trying to move into this deep rootedness. And the subtle breath is really, really powerful for really getting the profundity from the parasympathetic activation, how it can really help to calm and open up that space. So yes, very much. Pleasure of doubt. Brett, I know I owe you a couple of emails, I think at least one. I hope to get to those today. Can you elaborate in deep Vipassana what it means to meditate on the space between the thoughts? Should we still be focusing on the breath? Just on the blankness. When you're in deep Vipassana, you move out of the breath as an explicit focus. Try to keep it almost like a background awareness. It comes into the mental as that sense, like I said, that dynamic ground, the energetic sense. So don't leave the body behind, but it's not your focal awareness, and it's coming into your awareness insofar as you feel your awareness being energized, a dynamic ground. But the focal awareness is on the blankness, the stillness, the non-thought aspects of your consciousness. So that's exactly right. Hey everyone, thank you very much for joining today. I want to thank my technomage and dear friend Amar, and my beloved son Jason. Jason is sort of apprenticing with Amar to help increase our redundancy for managing all of the tech that's going on. So I thank Jason for that. Please subscribe to this channel to be notified of the next video. There's a good video coming out today, my discussion with Jonathan Pajot. Jonathan is brilliant. He's the author of The Symbolic World. And every time he and I have a discussion, I think we get into some very deep, but also very rich and juicy dialogos. When you subscribe to the channel, you will be, as I said, you'll become aware of other dialogues like that on Voices with Vervaeke. You'll have access to Awakening from the Meaning Crisis, which is the comprehensive lecture series. And you'll find these themes that we're talking about in this course linked to other relevant themes and situated in a more encompassing framework of philosophia, the cultivation, the brotherly. We're going to need a better word that conveys the same thing, right? But the communitas love of Sophia. Maybe that works. Please invite others who might benefit by sharing this series. Please, Brett is here, and so is Mark. Please join the Discord server to chat with others, to do some of the movement practices with others, to perhaps get into dialogos with other people, and also to sit on the times when the Sangha isn't available to sit. I mean, this Sangha. And I know that on the Discord server, they're already independently meditating twice a day, a longer sit. So have some very powerful resources there. Please remember there's no live stream on Monday because it's a holiday. Please join that Discord server on Monday at that time. Next Wednesday, I'll be teaching you the arms. Please, if you haven't done it already, follow me on Twitter for the latest updates. Amar and I are going to try and make more use of Twitter to give out information about the Sangha. It'd be good if everybody, I know some of you are probably opposed. I try not to use Twitter for anything other than this kind of thing, but this is probably the most powerful way we can get out news quickly if we need to. So please consider doing that. Please remember that continuity of practice and the quality of your practice are more important than the sheer quantity of practice or trying to reach some punitive perfectionist standard. There is no enemy worse than your own mind and body. There's no friend, no ally, no true companion on the path better than your own mind and body. Be lamps unto yourselves and to each other. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Take good care, everyone.